We have the privilege and honor of Jake Doherty out of the Mercedes doing the Mercedes things. If it's something simple, Mike will do it. But the big time Mercedes thing, because they've got all these big warranty things and so forth on the Mercedes dealer. But it's important to understand that everyone that has come to us with the Ford Union City has gotten, and we measure this, a less than 2-hour response. And so much. I'm going to segue over to Jake, who's been waiting as well, Jake Doherty, who's dealing with the Mercedes side out of the Mercedes Marietta. So we were at Union City. In this call, we've covered Beaufort, Union City, and here we have Jake in Marietta. Jake, are you with us?
I'm here.
Oh, man, that voice calms me down when I hear that voice on the phone. He's got this thing fixed. Jake, let's talk a little bit more. We have your facility here. You talk about equipment. Jake's got a lift that can lift a guy in the air to get over on top of a high-top Sprinter. You're not going to see that in some tire shop. Come on. That's dedicated equipment. Let's talk a little bit about this warranty. Like, we just had Mr. Johnson on, and you got a couple of his vans in your shop right now.
I got it. More than it.
Let's talk about that. What happens? These engine lights come on, these EGRs, these Mercedes seems like a lot of different, warranty and recall issues. They're complicated, but they kind of follow a pattern, and you've kind of got a handle on that. Jake, let's talk about the commitment you've made there in Marietta, and why, more importantly, why all PMs, particularly, because we can do on-site. That's what those vans that you saw. We've got 3 vans sitting there on your place. Why the PMs should come through the dealer and not just some on-site oil change thing or tire shop? Why the PMs? Why you should get those PMs? Let's talk about that.
A couple reasons. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, we got the certified techs. We got the equipment. And I think that everybody that we've been dealing with, I mean, it's been through trial and error, but can testify that we're on the ball. When you call us, we're there. If you need somebody after hours on the lot, we're there. If it's Saturday, it's Sunday, you can call my cell. I answer. I text you back. So, I mean, you're not going to get that at another shop. You're not going to get that at Pep Boys. I mean, anything that you guys need, we understand the importance of picking up routes, and we've made it our mantra to try to get your vans in and out as quickly as possible. And if it's something that your van's going to be down, then we've got vans here to give you so that you can still pick up your routes and get your bonuses.
Yeah, I mean, that's what matters. At the end of the day, what do we say? No drop routes and the safety-related FICO. Now, let's talk a little bit more about some of these Mercedes issues, because we've been seeing things like the air conditioning. You're running the route. You're a couple hours into the route now. It seems and all of a sudden the air conditioning goes out.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. We've seen a couple different things.
Yeah.
The air conditioning and for some reason, the driver's master window switch keeps going out on them, and they've got an EGR recall that they released on 5/19, and it's just to replace a flange and a bolt. But for some reason, we've got maybe 7 or 8 vans in that have needed the EGR valve as well. So we perform the recall, van goes out. A couple weeks later, check engine lights coming on, and it's storing the code, going off, and then it might be 100 cycles of the key later before it comes back on. And it's for an EGR valve. So I don't know if Mercedes is going to recall that or not, but something to look out for that we've been seeing a lot. The AC problems, and they just released another recall on 5/19. Nothing major. It's just a book that needs to go in the car for the Sprinters from Mercedes. But we have a lot of those in stock as well. So if anybody's needing those, just let me know. I can write a ticket up and bring it to you.
Well, that's great. I mean, that's compliance, whether it's just something simple or something complicated. The point that we need to drive home, and I think everybody that's involved with this on-the-road team, whether you're a manager, whether you're an owner, wherever you are, what we're saying is every time Jake or Mike's team, any of us touch that van, we're looking at the whole van, right? And certified to actually understand and are keeping track of all of the things that are happening with that van. Someone can come in and just change your oil, and that's what they did. They changed the oil and easily overlooked what could have been 3 or 4 other problems on that van. You've done your PM, you're out the door, you're running routes, and the very next day, after your PM, you've got a problem. In fact, Jake, why don't you talk about one van we've had more than this, but this one van had just had a PM that another, I won't say who it did it, but everyone knows who it was. They just had the PM, but it came back to you because they overlooked something, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll say who it. No, I'm just playing. I won't say who it is. But yeah, we had a van that went to another Mercedes-Benz dealer that was before we got in, was handling a lot of the vans, and they overlooked a few things. And not only did they overlook a few things, they tried to charge the DSP back for what was warranty work and try to charge them. I think it was $2,400.
Mm-hmm.
And we got that van in, got parts ordered. It's actually it's at my shop now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And got it fixed.
Right. So Jake, what would you tell? I mean, a lot of the owners of the DSPs, I'm an old Detroit car guy, so I'm one of those car nuts, right? But the average Amazon DSP owner is not an automotive person. They're at the mercy of the shop that they took the van to. Now
you know what I've noticed, Brian?
Yes. What have you noticed?
It's not necessarily the DSP owners or even the fleet managers. They really do seem to know what they're talking about. And we've worked together. Me and another DSP fleet manager have gone out there and worked on a few cars together just to make it easier and keep the vans in route. But what I've noticed is the drivers. The drivers will say something's broke and it's not, or they'll think something's not a big deal. We had one van get grounded, had to go pick it up in Union City, and it was just because the DEF tank was overfilled.
Diesel emission fluids, DEF,
Yep.
Right? Well, there you go. So how much of this information that we're getting together on Safety Sunday should be shared with the drivers, right? Shouldn't they all kind of watch this then? That's what you're saying? Open it up to everyone? Let them all see it?
It couldn't hurt. I know it'd make my job easier, and I'm sure it'd make the fleet manager and the owners.
Well, by way of recommending something as a follow-up action item from this week's event, because we're about to wrap up here, for the sake of time, we'll segue into Mr. Smith next, at the next segment of this event. One recommendation is always let if we're talking about body work, like Mr. Stimkowski, or let that person talk to you about really closely considering the true cost of that, what you think is that no out-of-pocket insurance job, right? How much time are you spending not running routes? What is it really going to cost you down the road? How do we evaluate that? It can be some big bucks, right? I'm hearing also right now that we should share some of this information with drivers. Let's get a little driver's edition of this. What should a driver look for? Maybe we'll do another workshop just on that, because the drivability issues are safety, right? It's the driver driving the van, not the owner or the manager or us. Those drivers have to understand and feel comfortable driving the van, right? Or they're unsafe. So I think that's a good point that you just made right there, Jake. So I appreciate the attendance. Mr. Eaton, thank you for joining us. You guys have been providing exemplary service. Mr. Johnson, Troy Johnson, owner of Win Logistics, thank you for joining us with your kind comments on the backup plan. We're going to talk more about that, because us making the vans available to you is what keeps you from dropping routes. Thank you, Jake, and thank you, Mike Stimkowski. As always, you guys have been providing information that does relate to money. So until next week, I hope everyone stays safe. Thank you for attending Safety Sunday. And before I leave, let's make sure that everyone that sees this goes to Safety Sunday, clicks on it, and provides the necessary information to get your free on-site fleet assessment. Because until we come on site and really look at your vans, it's all talk. Thank you for attending Safety Sunday. Be safe. We'll see you next week.